Alright, here we are with another top 10 Dokkan Fest EZA TURs tier list. Goodness, every time I say that, I'm like, that is such a long name. But we are going to take a look here at STR Kefla's inclusion on this list. Now, technically in the past, she has been on this list, but kind of more as a placeholder in a sense, because I was able to use her once only, and that was the only time I ever used STR Kefla. I haven't used her in any GP content until she actually came out on GP a few days ago. Nothing like that. I've had about a day and a half-ish of testing with her, and I've been using her just in a bunch of different events. I do have videos of her in Kid Buu and her in the Gogeta Blue Screen Battle Spectacle out on the channel as well. She did good there, so I think she is overall going to be a quite powerful EZ that definitely deserves to make the list. Now, I did change one or two things on this list as well from last time, that I had more testing with some of these more recent characters. And next week, I feel like there's a good chance Super Easy Physical Goku Black might come out, so there might be another update within the next week or so. But just in case, maybe Super Easy Physical Goku Black is like on the week of the 18th, 19th or so, right? I want to make sure I give my thoughts here, just a video for today. Why not? So we're gonna hop right in. Bunch of EZAs this year that have been very good. I just have this general EZA tab brought up, but of course Kefla on GP came out on the 4th of June, so that's pretty cool. But let's just start. We're gonna start from 10 as always, and we're just gonna move all the way down. In fact, I should have probably brought these up right here just in case, so I don't know. Number 10 spot is Into Future Gohan. For the characters that I really covered a lot extensively in previous lists, I'm not really gonna focus too much on here. So the thing about Future Gohan is, I think that this Trunks restriction, in terms of the guard here, which it could be useful here. Maybe not the biggest deal with the guard here, but I think this transformation to get him more consistently good defensively, it's very hard to get that. Now, we did get a new Trunks recently, but I don't think this Super Saiyan 2 Future Trunks is gonna be the sole reason why this Future Gohan's a lot better. I don't think they added the Super Saiyan 2 Future Trunks here, but obviously on the GP version, on the global version, in fact, I could actually literally pull up the global version. We have the Super Saiyan 2 Trunks feature here, the brand new name Trunks. He's a pretty good character from what I'm seeing, but I just don't think that he's a character where he's gonna save Future Gohan or anything like that, especially because he does want time travelers category allies in here as many as possible. Now you only need 5, including himself, so it's you still have wiggle room for Future Gohan, but let's think of the good teams you can run him on. Future Saga not really running anymore, unfortunately. Let's say Bottom Master Disciple, you're not really gonna fail the time travelers restrictions there. And time travelers themselves, the leader for this team is pretty much the sort of Hope Trunks, which he's not bad, but he's not good. That's the only thing I could say about Future Gohan. It just, his numbers don't match up to what the characters that are best in the game are. His just restrictions with the Trunks, right, doesn't really fit that well the current landscape of the game. So I don't know. Maybe if we got a good Trunks in the future, this guy could be interesting again. But he's not bad, but he's just not crazy. So yeah, Zamasu. I think he's just slightly better because he's just more better acclimed to the long event meta we're kind of in. Stacking defense series, AGL, his typing helps him out pretty well. So even in situations where Future Gohan maybe could have potentially really aged out, because he has type advantage in so many of the difficult fights starting off, and then he's able to build up over time. Kid Buu fight, first phase STR, the Gogeta Blue fight has a lot of STR phases. The Cell Max fight has STR phases. Let me think of who else, a very difficult boss with STR phase. The Movie Memorial Beast Gohan fight has STR phases in there. There's a couple of STR phases in these bosses that are able to really allow AGL characters to take advantage of their typing, right? There's a lot of really tough STR bosses, so Fusion Zamasu is able to really take advantage of that. Plus, again, with these events, for the most part being longer. Some max not really longer. You're able to stack up heals, you know, just 50% reduction with the defense he has stacking up. Pretty good still, overall. Well, I want to say pretty good. He's kind of a fraud now, low-key, but like, it's more of a thing where he's able to still hang in there compared to so many of the other options that came out in 2023, which for EZA specifically, which, you know, is quite impressive. I still think, you know, in terms of that. So that is Fusion Zamasu there. Next we have STR Super Vegeta. I think they really flopped this guy. He still makes a list, but I just like feel like they really flopped this guy overall. I mean, he's like a decent little character, guaranteed crits. Turn 5, you can get a pretty like nice looking attack set for this guy, whereas like does like a 40 mil attacks that guaranteed crit, which is pretty good damage. But it's not crazy damage actually, which is really funny about that. It's like a pretty good turn. If it gets an additional, then it looks really good, right? But you need to really get that additional. Then all of this against a cell, like there's no cell enemies. Cell max does not activate this, so I think that's a big issue. He like wants to be slot 1, but he also wants to be slot 2 as well. I don't know. It's like he wants a super attack first to get this buff. He wants to build this up, but then he wants to be in the first slot to receive this buff right here. If you're against the cell, he wants to be in the first slot to receive the attack. I don't know. I mean, you don't lose too much from not getting this in terms of offense, but like, you know, ideally you have this guy slot 1. It's like he kind of wants to be slot 1, but slot 2, 5-turn guard, not long enough. Yeah, I don't know. He's better than, I would say like he's better than Angel's Zamasu in future Gohan though, at least, you know. Now here we have AGL Super Saiyan 3 Super EZA Goku. I think this guy is pretty good. I would say like there's probably a little gap right here. This guy, you know, he has a lot of stuff to him, right? I think the crit chance support 20% for super class is pretty good, especially, you know, with his partnership with the Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku, allowing him to essentially not double crit, imagine double crit mechanic, but essentially allowing him to guaranteed crit for the first 3 turns for battle. And you know, that character, this character right here is a character that wants to really push through these events really quickly. Mega offense character. So it's a thing of this guy providing that crit chance support. Pretty huge for the team overall. He himself turn 1 guaranteed critting, so he helps push the team to go quite early on, especially since he has the triple super mechanic in him. I guess the one thing about him is that his pure defense is reliant on this 30% dodge chance, then another 30% before attacking. I think that he should have just had 50% dodge and then 10% before attacking, honestly. Like, I know it's like a thing where, no, we're doing too good. I don't care. Like, just give him the high chance of dodge. Having to rely on medium chance of dodge to live some of these supers and sometimes normals is just the reason why he's not higher. If he had high chance of dodge, then another 20% before attacking, this guy would like shoot up this list like by quite a good amount potentially, right? It's just that main defensive mechanic, medium chance, he does fizz out over the fight, so like in longer fights this guy obviously is not really going to be as good. He's still really good, but in terms of his overall strength, again, by the end of the fight you will, you know, lose a lot of the strength, obviously, because like I said, I feel like I just repeated the same thing twice, but I think you guys get the point. Luckily on this team with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Angel Goku, he has less like worries about that, but it still can happen in a lot of these other teams potentially. And I would really like to consider these characters on just one team or one setup for the most part. Now it's circumstantial, right? But you know, you never know for category missions, stuff like that, and the flexibility of a character I think is very important. Which, you know, even though this guy can have issues running out of his passive in other teams, I think this guy, you know, he doesn't really have like character restrictions, or you know, you want a certain amount of orbs. He's just kind of straightforward, so you could easily still put him as a floating character, or just like, you know, your 6th, 7th option on any other team, and he will be able to perform quite well. He has built-in keys, so even if he doesn't have Orbit of Flash, he still has a pretty good chance at getting a super attack off anyways, because he's a TUR, right? He only needs 12 keys, so that's just 8 key to start a turn for him, which is really helpful. So that is Super Saiyan 3 Super EZA Goku. Again, the more I use him, I think the more I really do like him. Some people think he sucks. I don't agree. I think that this guy is able to hold his own quite well. So there's that. Next we have Int Gotenks, and then I'm gonna just show this one, STR Kefla. We're just gonna show the next two here together. I think they're very intertwined with each other, right? I think in terms of, well, this is the first change that I made to this tier list. Last time I think I had Kefla under Gotenks, and that's because a lot of people were telling me they liked Gotenks more, and they were all global players. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Kefla is on global right now, and global players have had the most experience with Kefla, so I'm going to trust their word. But I have decreed that they are wrong. But jokes aside, I don't agree with that opinion that Gotenks is better. I think there's a couple reasons why. I think that even though Kefla does need the 6 key spheres, I've not found very little issue with it. And I think there's one thing. There's the tournament participants team on JP, which we have Topo as a leader right now. And Topo's a Rainbow Orb Changer. We have Blue Falcon Evolution Blue Vegeta Rainbow Orb Changer, right? You know, so there's like 3 more Orb Changers in this team. Topo still works quite well as a slot 1 character. You could like link Kefla still with a lot of these other tournament participants characters, and even though she may not be getting links like Warriors or Universe 6 or Power Super God, Fuse Fighter, Saiyan Warrior Race, or sometimes even Super Saiyan might not be activated, she still works quite well, and you could still throw her as a floater around on the team. But if you keep her on rotation, right, she's able to get some pretty good stacks overall. Her numbers, even defensively, she could reach up to close to like a mil defense, even pre-transformed. Post-transformed in Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, she could be nearing like 1.5 to 2 mil defense range pretty easily with the high chance dodge built in. Still here, 70% chance dodge, which, you know, I'm thinking about the tournament participants team, quite easy to get. Now there's some other teams where you could have struggles getting it, but like let's say her Pepe Gal's team with 21, pretty simple to get that. You do have Bulma. It could be an issue once in a while, but not really the biggest deal. Transformation boost led by Broly. You have Gogeta Blue. You have, again, Broly's team would have Blue Falcon, Goku Evolution, Blue Vegeta, right? Full power / transformation boost right there. So that's a thing. I don't think she's on Beast Gohan's team, for instance. I'm trying to think of who else here. I mean, Super Saiyan teams led by transforming Vegeta. Again, you have these Gogeta Blue, right? He's on there. So, like, Gogeta Blue is on a lot of these different teams that she would match on. Power Beyond Super Saiyan. So, like, there's a good amount of Rainbow Orb Changers. Like, also on Power Beyond Super Saiyan, we have the, again, Blue Falcon, Goku, and Evolution Vegeta. So, because there's so many of these, like, Rainbow Orb Changers floating around that are very strong in all these teams, right? It's not really difficult for me to really get her 6 orbs for the most part. Not that it can't happen and I don't get the 6 orbs, but I would say it's actually been pretty consistent for me. I'd like getting, you get the 6 orbs and you're guaranteed getting everything is nice. Gotenks, it's a thing where you could always get the stuff, but it's a little closer to RNG, if that makes sense, right? High chance to launch an additional super right here, right? Compared to Kefla, you get the 6 orbs, you get the guaranteed super. I probably would rather take the guaranteed super for 6 orbs compared to the high chance to launch an additional super. That's me personally, because I feel like, at least in terms of like these guys' teams, it's not really difficult to get the orbs, right? Gotenks does have a slightly higher chance to dodge, but it's like not really that big of a deal. Super Saiyan Gotenks and Super Saiyan Kefla, I mean, Kefla hits way harder. Gotenks does have the stun chance, but by the like turn 4 in the fight, you're usually not really going to be able to stun a lot of these bosses, right? Some of these bosses like lose, like Cell Max, for example, it's like turn 7 where you can stun that guy, right? So it's like the stunning ability, like in turn 4, or turn 3, not really that big of a deal. Super Battle Rotor could be useful, but that's really all I'm thinking of. This guy could heal, but again, RNG chance, great chance to do additional super compared to Kefla doing the guaranteed at 6 orbs. Again, this is much more of an argument, but I would still rather take the guaranteed. Now Gotenks does have the extra 20% dodge chance here, which, you know, I think is pretty useful, but I think the difference between this Gotenks and Kefla is that Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, you pretty much have to wait an extra turn, no matter what, or sometimes 2 extra turns, like, not considering his own turns, but like all the other turns of the rotation, well, you know, because it's like, how do I explain it? 4th turn after transformation, so it's like you have to float this guy off pretty much, right? And get this guy, or else you have to keep him on rotation basically for 5 turns. while Kefla, so you just transfer in turn 5, right? Turn 5 transformation, pretty easily, right? Or I guess for the next turn right here, we know that base Kefla will transform to third turn, start our battle no matter what. So even if you get her slot 7, you do not have to wait the extra turn. Same thing with Gotenks. He does transform again on just turn 3, so that's good for them. But you do have to wait for the extra time. And I think Super Saiyan 2 Kefla is just hits so much harder than Gotenks. Even though Gotenks has a guaranteed crits, I just think that her getting 4 supers a turn, and she has 20% built-in crit, but it's not the guaranteed for sure, right? But she has the higher chance to dodge, if I'm not mistaken, right? Well, I think they both have great chance to dodge. They do have both great chance to dodge, which is good. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is so good, man. It's close, because I can see the arguments, but I just think that Kefla is doing what Gotenks is able to do, and with the 6 orbs not really being an issue, if you take that away, Kefla is also just hitting way harder, and at times she could potentially have higher defense, like in terms of her pure defensive stat, man. So I think I have to give it to Kefla, honestly. That's me personally, just because Kefla gets to her peak strength quicker, and that will obviously benefit her because she does continue to stack her attack, and she's doing like 4 supers a turn, and her peak is not really difficult to get, honestly. So yeah, again, there's that issue where it's like people are saying, oh, you know, again, global players were saying, oh, you know, the 6 orbs with Kefla, you know, sometimes I would prefer the guarantee with Gotenks, where he doesn't have to have any orb requirement, he just does what he does. I think that's fair, but his things aren't also like guaranteed. Well, as Kefla's, you get the 6 orbs, and while the 6 orbs isn't always guaranteed itself, you are 100% going to be getting the super attack. You're 100% going to be getting the double super attack. You're 100% getting the 70% dodge chance, right? Part of the passive. And again, Global doesn't have Blue Gogeta. Global doesn't have Blue Falcon Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta, right? Those two are like massively powerful Rainbow Orb Changers. The Topo team, Global doesn't have Topo. That team, massive Rainbow Orb Changing team. So that's that. That's why I personally would actually end up putting Super Saiyan 2 Kefla above this guy. But yeah, I just really wanted to talk about Kefla. I think even in Super Saiyan, man, Super Saiyan Kefla hits hard. She's doing like 15, 16 mil attack stats, dude. She hits so hard. It's actually kind of crazy. And to get the high chance dodge, you only need 2 key spheres. So at the bare minimum, maybe even if you don't get the 6 or even the 4 key spheres, she still has the high chance dodge with the 2, which is nice. Now, Gotenks gets that guaranteed, though, so you could say, oh, well, Gotenks doesn't have to worry about that. So, at the end of the day, my point is that if you think Gotenks is better, I don't really care too much. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's the worst thing ever, but I think Kefla's just better, personally, overall. So, that's that. Next, again, Tech Super Saiyan 3, Super EZA Gotenks, very powerful. I think the thing about him is, on the teams he's on, besides the special pose team, I think I found it very simple to get his lemon key, and he has a high chance dodge plus 50% reduction, which is so huge. He does really good damage still. He's supporting. I just think he's so much simpler to use, and he's just what he is for the most part. He does have to build up a little, right? But he's very close to what he just is doing all the time, which is a really, really useful thing as well. Like, besides 11 key, which is not really hard to get, I think 11 key is easier to worry about than the 6 key for Kefla, personally. Or, you know, the fact that, you know, this guy is built up a lot faster, potentially sometimes, than Super Saiyan 3 its Gotenks. And he's just doing better numbers. He could tank most of the super attacks in the game and still have the high chance to evade it. Just defensively, he's just going to be more superior to Kefla and Gotenks, who only have to rely on the dodge, which could be a big issue. Now, if this guy does get his 12 key, he still does have a pretty nice chance to dodge. I don't know if it equates to around 70%, like in terms of the math, but keep in mind that this 33% is separate from the 50%. We do want to really point that out, but man, this Super Saiyan 3 Tech Gotenks, it's just a thing where you use him and you're like, oh yeah, he's better. Like, his numbers are just gonna be superior consistently. And then the last change I made is just these 3 right here, so we'll just put them in here. Tech Gohan at 1. I don't think I really have to explain this guy. he's just crazy. His defense gets so high, and he just actually hits pretty good damage in Ultimate Gohan still as well. This guy's crazy for sure. Physical Kid Buu, I did have him under Exchange Buu. I think I moved him up. One reason is because I think, I spoke with a couple people. A couple people do think that Kid Buu's better. But another thing, I think I changed my mind because Physical Kid Buu, I think one of the points, it made me think about it. One of the points I made last time in my last video is that, I had Kid Buu on rotation and he allowed Tech Exchange Buu to the super. But again, that's like, even though that's impressive for Tech Exchange Buu, I think the biggest thing for Physical Kid Buu is that 70% support, man. He's providing so much to the team with that 70% support. Then he's withholding his own against most bosses, given he's not type disadvantaged, right? And again, with type disadvantage, I'm not really going to hold that too much against the character. Well, this guy is in I think, how do I explain it? What's called? It's just not really the best spot for him right now because of the fact that all these bosses are STR, which I do also want to take a little bit into account. The thing is, this guy is so able to do so well against so many of these bosses. I've had this guy eat the Tech Gogeta Blue Super for like 300k or so, and it's just like super impressive. There are some times where there's issues maybe building up with this guy, but I just think the pros of what he's providing outweighs the slight extra consistency from this guy with the 70% reduction instantly, and he's always just going to be eating these attacks, right? I just think that what Kid Buu is providing overall is just going to be a little better. And he also does heal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, recovers 10% HP at the end of turn. The character receives 2 more attacks during battle up to once a turn, so he still heals as well. So in his passive, not including healing links. So yeah, I think this guy's good. I like this Physical Kid Buu EZA a lot. Super EZA, but yeah, those are the 2 changes I made. Moving Kefla above Gotenks, and then moving Kid Buu above Exchange Buu is the only changes I made. So there's a list. I'm in the video here. That's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think about Kefla, about Physical Kid Buu, whatever you think about this list. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time.